Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm Keith Downey, your host. Welcome to another Sacred Sites with Steve Ray, where we explore the holy and historical significance of sacred sites around the globe. None other than Steve Ray. Good morning and Merry Christmas, Steve.
Good morning, Keith. Merry Christmas to you. And I'm going to talk about the wise men today, but I turned 70 yesterday, so I feel like I'm one of the wise guys.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm qualifying, age gives you wisdom. So anyway.
That's
Here
right.
we go.
Well, happy birthday and Merry Christmas to you. Oh, that's incredible. Well, we're very excited I saw the notes. I'm very excited about this. So without further ado, let the adventure begin.
Okay, we're going to talk about the wise
Steve
men.
Ray,
and
here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
I jumped the gun there, didn't I? I got on my camel way too fast. So anyway, we're going to talk about the wise men, the milk grotto. People don't even know what that is. We'll find out. And the presentation in the temple and going to Egypt. And there's a lot to say. I wish we had about an hour for this show every week. But there's two perspectives of the nativity. One is the book of Luke, which is Mary's story. So read Luke with the idea that Mary is telling her side of the story. Read Matthew with Joseph telling his side of the story. The only angels that came, and Mary was the angel came to Mary once. In Joseph's story, the angel came to Joseph 4 times. So anyway, the Magi are told in Joseph's story. He tells us the story of the Magi, and they came from the east, probably Persia, 1,600 miles away. Some people think that he came from Persia, from Jordan, from Petra, which would have been a much shorter trip, but that's a whole nother discussion. I've been over there in the east. I even waded across the Euphrates River. And whenever the Bible refers to the river, it is the Euphrates 73 times. And it's not the Mississippi, but it's a pretty good sized river. Anyway, the word Magi probably means there's an astronomer, magician, somebody who reads dreams and so on. They're mentioned actually in the book of Acts and in the book of Daniel. So we kind of get a little idea who they were. But whoever it was, I know one thing about the wise men is they had good eyesight. And you say, how the heck does Steve know that? Well, if they're stargazers and they're looking up at the constellations and so on, if I take my glasses off, I'm not going to see a whole lot at night. I'm just going to see the really big stars and maybe the moon. If I want to see them, I got to put my glasses on. And so if the Magi were looking at the stars and seeing the constellation, they had to have good eyes because they didn't have glasses back in those days. But it says that they saw a star. And this is interesting because what is the star? So many people discuss this, that it was constellations or planets intersecting and all that. I don't think it needs to be that complicated, my own personal opinion. I believe it was a supernatural star. God led them in a supernatural and a spectacular way. Would you travel 1,600 miles if you just saw 2 stars kind of move in the sky up there and say, oh, I'm going to travel 1,600 miles to go see a baby? No, I think it was a supernatural star. In fact, some of the fathers of the church even thought it was an angel, a bright angel leading them along. It actually says that they saw the star which had risen in the east. Behold, the same star that they had seen also after Herod led them and during the daytime. Stars can't lead you during the daytime, right? So during the daytime, it led them and it rested over the house where they were. So I assume that it was a spectacular, miraculous gift of God. And I bet they passed the temple on the way because the temple was spectacular. We're going to go there and visit that in one of our future sacred sites. But the interesting story that they didn't go to the Church of Nativity. They went to the house. I think that means that Mary and Joseph gave birth in a stable kind of an area, even if it was a guest house in a bigger house. But it says they went to the house, which implies to me that they moved out of the original place they gave birth to the baby and moved to a house. Now, the Church of Nativity, by the way, it's standing because in 614, the Persians, where the wise guys came from, they came to they were destroying all the churches. I heard they destroyed up to 30,000 churches in the whole area in 614. They didn't destroy the Church of Nativity because it had paintings of the Magi on it who were dressed as Persians. And they said, oh, this must have something to do with us. We're going to leave this church stand. And it was the only church they did not destroy in the whole area of the Holy Land. That's just an interesting little fun fact. So the milk grotto is when you leave the Church of Nativity. Now we're going to go where I think the wise men went. If you leave the Church of Nativity today, you walk about 10 minutes through a gauntlet of souvenir shops and vendors. East, by the time you get there, you can almost see down into the Jordan Valley. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a church with a gate. You open the gate and go in. It says, this is the Church of the Milk Grotto. I believe this is, and a lot of us do, that Mary and Joseph moved from the cave where they had the baby into this milk grotto, and it was a house. It was actually, people lived in caves back there. That was their home many times. So the milk grotto, when you walk in, it's all white. You walk into caves, usually it's rock and it's dark, but when you walk into this cave, it's all bright white. There's the stone, everything is white. The legend or the story is, and the Franciscans will take you aside if you come in there, the Franciscan friar, and he'll sit you down for 30 minutes and make sure you understand the story, is that they moved in there and Mary was breastfeeding the baby and a drop of her milk fell on the ground and miraculously the whole cave turned white. And that's why it's called the Milk Grotto. Thousands of people visit that every year, and you can scratch some of that white powder off of the sides of the roof of that cave. It's a large cave, too. You could easily fit a family or multiple families in there. And they have little packets. You go into their shop, and they have little packets of that white powder, along with the little prayer they give you. And by the way, when I was there last time, I bought 100 of these packets because people ask me for them all the time. Oh, I know I'm going to get flooded with calls after today. But if a mother who cannot have babies or cannot lactate pinches a little of that powder into her coffee in the morning and drinks it and prays that prayer, it sounds like a magical incantation, but it's not. It's a sacrament. A sacramental. And it's and in the museum they have, there are thousands of testimonials of families who could not have children who came and did this with the white powder and the prayer, and they had children. And the stories it's really amazing to see all the pictures of babies everywhere, and they have files of this as well. So there's also in that church, and if you go around another corner, you can see down over a lower level, and there's a nun praying in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And this is called the Monastery of the Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, the Blessed Sacrament. And they're in black and white, red and white habits. I can see them right now, red and white, very colorful. 24 hours a day, they pray in front of the Blessed Sacrament there. It's really a lovely thing. So anyway, after we get some of those packets, we're going to go over to the Church of St. Catherine, which is attached to the Church of Nativity. And remember, St. Jerome lived under there, and he translated the Bible into the Latin Vulgate in the caves where Jesus was born under there. But there's another area in those caves underneath there, and it's called it's like a little shrine to the innocents, the children who were killed, the boys under 2 years old. It's called the Visitation area, and it's the slaughter of the innocents. By the way, if we go, before we go there, let's go to the Visitation Church. Now, I know we're running around today, but I go there because in the Visitation Church, which is 5 miles west, there is a big mural as you walk in where Mary came to visit Elizabeth. And on the mural is this picture. I always ask our group, what's that? Why is that here? And it's the slaughter of the innocents. It shows soldiers with big swords cutting babies and things. And I say, why is that here in Ein Kerem, 5 miles west of Jerusalem and Bethlehem? It's because when Herod made that decree, it wasn't just for the babies that lived in the little village of maybe 300 people in Bethlehem. It covered the whole area. Herod wasn't going to make a mistake. He was going to make sure to send the net out wide to get every baby that was 2-year-old boy and under. And so that in that church, the early tradition from the 2nd century, there's a big rock in there. That's the rock behind which the angel hid John the Baptist from the slaughter of the innocents. And so everybody goes and touches their rosaries on that rock there, because that's the place where John the Baptist was preserved from being killed on that day. And so now we're going to go back to St. Catherine's Church, which is attached to in Bethlehem. St. Catherine's Church is the Roman Catholic part of the Nativity. See, over there, each of the different traditions has their own real estate, so to speak, and it's fought over this real estate. It's really something else to see sometimes. The Greek Orthodox have their section, the Armenians have their section, the Roman Catholics have their section. At Church of Nativity, there's 6 different traditions fighting over real estate. But anyway, in the Church of St. Catherine, that is the Roman Catholic. So if you watch the midnight mass, the Catholics have it there. They have mass there. So for the nativity. So now underneath there is a grotto, both the tomb of Saint Jerome and the cave where Joseph was sleeping, and the angel told him, get up and run to Egypt. We don't have time to talk about that today, but maybe we'll do that on another, because we've got a lot of adventures ahead of us, a lot of places to go. But there is, under that church, there's a little area where there's a bunch of little skulls. And they say that those are actually skulls from the 1st century. And they say that it's a memorial to the innocents. And so it's a very somber place when you go down there to pray, to see all of those, the skulls there. Then they go to the Mount of Presentation. We'll have to do that another time too. But imagine going the presentation 40 days after the birth. That thing was 7 to 10 stories high, the temple, and 50 yards up above. It was a massive thing, and that's where Mary took the baby to present him. So there's kind of a whirlwind, and I know that I have to quit now. I don't like quitting, but I have to quit, so I'm going to hand it back over to you, Keith, for the end of another adventure.
Wow, that was incredible. Thank you so much, Steve. I can't thank you enough. Really, really helps paint a picture of like the Magi. I never thought about. You hear about, the star was, it was like astronomical significance. And then I like how you said, it was probably, spiritual. It was it's great stuff. Thank you so much. Hey, make sure to check out CatholicConvert.com, and then also stay tuned for next Monday, because we're going to go back on another adventure of Sacred Sites with Steve Ray. Thanks again, Steve. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. God bless you.
And that is it for Morning Joy, where truth matters. Now, of course, we have our after show clubhouse, which reminds you that Debbie Georgiani and Adam Bly are going to be joining for a first ever after show clubhouse with the 4 of us, with Tim, producer Tim, myself, of course, Debbie and Adam. My goodness, it's going to be great. Just search Morning Joy Radio and you'll find us on any of the social medias. We recommend YouTube just because of how wonderful the group is there. The joyful pilgrims, if you will, or joyful warriors, whatever you see fit. But hey, we'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern, here on Morning Joy, where truth matters. And until then, make it a joyful day.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.